Word work in the upper grades, month-by-month phonics and vocabulary. This is easy to implement. It consists of 20-minute lessons 3 times a week for a whole month. This resource is for word work that you can incorporate into your daily instruction. We hope that you had a chance to look at the resource book ahead of time. The introduction lays out the work nicely. Just keep in mind that the introduction and the nifty, thrifty, 50 are the same in both 4th and 5th. The difference is the word study, where they work on specific prefixes and suffixes. Technically, there isn't a 6th grade book. However, there is no reason why this wouldn't apply to them. In fact, while we were at the training with 2 of the North Tonawanda High School literacy specialists, they were talking about using the model of the Nifty Thrifty 50 and incorporating academic words that students would be encountering throughout their school year.
We spend so much time teaching students how to decode in the primary grades through explicit instruction and word manipulation. The misconception is that kids just get it by 4th grade, when in reality, they are faced with very complex words related to their reading, especially in the content area. We need to explicitly teach students how to approach these words. We want them to say the word correctly, but also understand the meaning. Word work needs to continue in the upper grades and be supported through direct teaching.
Here is an example that was shared at our training. Obviously, this paragraph is around social studies. Words like representation, propose, committee, compromise are examples of polysyllabic words that our students encounter in the upper grades. If you don't know the meaning of more than one word, your comprehension of the paragraph will be lost. Before we go deeper into how to format this instruction, we want you to keep in mind that you can use any polysyllabic words. You can pull vocabulary from your content area and use this model to teach the students how to tackle complex words. This is not the end-all be-all, but rather something to get us thinking about how we can enhance our word study instruction in the classroom.
The idea behind month-to-month phonics and vocabulary revolves around 4 goals. The introduction of the resource books goes deeper into the goals. You will see that Goal 1 and 2 are more heavily weighed. Goal 3 and 4 are light and fun. Activities in these goal areas are game-like and connect back to reading and writing. Our suggestion is that if you're thinking of skipping some of the goals, skip 3 and 4. Goal 1 is where you will find the Nifty Thrifty 50 activity. You will go deeper into that in a few slides. This is where students study prefixes, root words, and suffixes. Goal 2 involves the use of a word wall in your classroom. The word wall will consist of words from the student's own writing and the Nifty Thrifty 50 words. Goal 3 teaches students to self-monitor while writing, and Goal 4 teaches students to cross-check and use what they know while reading.
The resource book lays out what words are introduced each month and exactly how to teach them. Within this work, students are learning the meaning of the prefixes, suffixes, and how it changes the meaning of the root word and how other words with similar prefixes or suffixes can be decoded for meaning. 50 words are introduced throughout the entire year, but those 50 words lend themselves to hundreds of other words. Chanting the word means spelling the words aloud. Students should be able to read and write these words with automaticity. For example, if the word was beautiful, you would chant B-E-A-U-T-I-F-U-L. Then students would print the word 1 time. This is not a write your spelling word 10 times type of activity. This is about having students learn the word for memorization without it being boring and redundant. You can incorporate fun movement activities when chanting.
Keep the lesson moving. There are 20-minute lessons 3 times a week. Don't overkill the words. Introduce all the words in the beginning of the month so they have the whole month to practice. Keep it fun.
Before we go into all the possible activities to use during the month, let's look at a sample month's lesson plan. This example is for the month of November. Remember, the Nifty Thrifty 50 words are taught during the very first lesson of the month. They are then spiraled throughout the month in other lessons. Words to be added during this month are beautiful, classify, community, communities, electricity, happiness, prettier. On the next slide, we will show you an overview of what your month might look like.
This is a month's view of what your instruction could look like. This is found on page 157 with a blank template on 156 of the resource book. As you can see, the Nifty Thrifty 50 are taught on day 1, followed by a root word lesson on day 2, and the Nifty 50 Thrifty cards on day 3. The lessons consist of some explicit teaching, some guided practice, and some game-like activities. It's important to note that the Nifty Thrifty 50 is an activity that falls within Goal 1. It is not necessarily the only words that the tool focuses on.
When teaching the Nifty Thrifty 50 words, we wanted to show you some different samples of how you could possibly teach them whole group. This picture is the teacher using a simple anchor chart for the month's words. The important part is seeing the separation of prefixes from the root word and suffixes using different colors. Example, prefix is always written in blue, root word always in black, and the suffix always in red. And then keeping that consistent throughout each month is also important to help the students visually.
Here is a video of a teacher using index cards for the Nifty Thrifty 50 words. The word is from September's month, and it's the word musician. You will see her teach the word, break it down, and draw 4 boxes on the back of the index card. Students are then required to complete tasks in those squares. Keep in mind, however you teach or format your lessons, students are required to write the word themselves. This teacher also decided that she would complete the introduction of the words in 2 days. Day 1 is the first video, day 2 is the second. This is just an example of one of the 8 words for the month of September. You can choose to introduce the words all at once or spread it out over 2 days. You can also view other videos on YouTube.
Hey guys, today we're doing day 1, Monday of Nifty Thrifty 50. Our word for day 1 is musician, so on the front of your index card I want you to write the word musician. M-U-S-I-C-I-A-N. Now, for musician, we have a suffix at the end of our word and it changes our meaning. So I want you to put a box around I-A-N. That's our suffix. I-A-N means a person who does something. So I want you to write under I-A-N, person who does something. Now we have our base word, which is music, or our root word, music. So we have music and I-A-N, person who does something. So musician would be a person who makes music. So on the back of your note card, we're going to write our word again, musician. Circle it and make your 4 boxes. And in the top left-hand corner, I want you to write your definition of musician. A person who makes music. So we're going to talk about musician and write a sentence. So on the back of your note card in the bottom left-hand corner, I want you to write a sentence. I'm going to use Justin Bieber is a musician. All right, so after you do that, I want you to draw a picture. Miss Blair does not know how to draw. So we're going to draw a picture of Justin Bieber singing his heart out with a microphone. Here's a hand. All right, so you have your picture. Now, we're going to talk about another word using the suffix I-A-N. I'm going to write magician and our suffix I-A-N. So we have our root word, which is magic. So what do you think magician is? A magician is someone who does magic. Okay, so let's come up here. On the back of our note card, you're going to write my example, magician. And I want you to come up with one more example using the suffix I-A-N. All right, thanks guys.
In the resource book, you will find a list of activities that can expand and practice the Nifty Thrifty 50. Our favorite is the Nifty Thrifty 50 word cards. which will be explained in the next slide.
Using different colored paper, separate the prefix, root word, and suffix. Keep the colors consistent for every word.
Students can use these cards to move around and manipulate different parts of the words to create new words. Keep in mind, you are adding new words to your collection each month, so the student will already have a certain prefix or suffix card created.
Here is an example of one of the activities to enhance the practice of the nifty thrifty 50 words. It is called Mini Wordo, and it is not used until October because you need enough words.
Students write 9 of the nifty thrifty 50 words correctly on their Wordo board. Teacher will use another word that has similar parts. Example, if the teacher says the word expression, which is not a nifty thrifty 50 word, students can cover expensive and impression because expensive has the same prefix, ex, and impression has the same root and suffix, press and ion.
Neologism are fun ways to play around with words. Would be great activity for higher level kids to push their word knowledge. This is an activity consisting of newly coined words. For example, the word we commonly use nowadays is texted. Text was always a noun, but now we use the word to describe an action on our phone, and it is a verb. New words are coined all the time.
Ginormous is actually a neologism that was coined in the movie Elf. Buddy, the elf, used it to describe a toilet because he was used to North Pole's little elf toilets. Snicker commercials do these types of play on words all the time. This is higher order thinking, and struggling readers may have difficulty with it.
This is an example that was shared with us. A way to differentiate for the struggling readers is to give a prompt such as, "This word means to make someone your friend." The students would then use their nifty thrifty 50 cards to build infriendment. Obviously, these are made up words, but a fun activity to create their own newly coined words.
Now we move to Goal 2, word wall words. Word wall words need to be explicitly taught, and once they're on the wall, students are expected to spell them correctly. They have access to the words, so they must visit the wall if spelling is unknown. Keep in mind, this is a mixture of nifty, thrifty 50 words and their own commonly misspelled words. A list of those words can be found in your resource book on page 126 through 130. There's an explanation for why these are misspelled, and that is a great teaching tool as well.
After collecting the group of word wall words from your students' writing, you should introduce each word, giving an explanation for its placement on the wall. For example, said is a word that is not spelled the way that we say it. However, if you think back to language many years ago with accents, people in certain dialects of the world say Sid, which makes sense for S-A-I-D. The explanation in the back of the book really allows students to understand the reasonings behind these words. Students also chant the words in a rhythmic manner. They print the word, paying careful attention to its spelling, and then students are expected to always spell the words correctly from here on out. They have access to the word wall, and they are allowed to frequently visit as needed, but it should be spelled correctly in their writing.
This goal focuses on teaching students to be good writers and check for visuals and whether the word looks right. On page 33, there are activities to expand on these lessons.
Here is an example. Write 2 spelling patterns that rhyme. Write one word with both spelling patterns. Students decide which one looks right. So for example, you have ite and ite. One spelling pattern is I-T-E, the other is I-G-H-T. One word that follows the spelling pattern correctly is bite. The other one is fight. If you ask students to write the word flight, have them write each one, F-L-I-T-E or F-L-I-G-H-T. Students then decide which one looks right and cross out the one that's wrong. F-L-I-G-H-T is the correct way of spelling.
Goal 4, cross-checking. Students are applying what they have learned in their reading. This is a light and guided activity that has students cross-checking meaning, word length, and reading all the beginning letters up to the vowel to figure out the word. Example for ideas to use are in each month's lesson.